My name is Vander Puchert, and this is Finding Frequency. It's time that I bring you up to date with what's going on in Poland. So, in this past week, they passed legislation that makes it illegal for a female to have an abortion under most circumstances. If I remember correctly, if the mother's life is in danger or in cases of rape, it can be considered. But we have now seen again this week where a lot of people have taken to the streets to protest against what's going on. And in some instances, it looks like it is a pro or anti-abortion conversation. In fact, when Martha and I drive to town, there's a lot of billboards that show a baby in the womb in a shape of a heart, depicting that this is definitely anti-abortion country or a statement. Whilst on the other side, when you go into Warsaw, you see lightning bolts spray painted on buildings, road surfaces, on people's clothes, pins, on windows, on flags. And usually you also see the rainbow flag next to that. And that's also a clear indication that there is a bigger conversation going on in Poland at the moment. The conversation is not about abortion. The conversation is about choice. And I think that's where things get mixed up. Because how much government do you need in your life? I argue that we don't need more government. We need government to step in and help where things become muddled and when we need support. We need government to step in when there is a pandemic and people are suffering because they're unable to run their businesses and provide for their families. And that's even true outside of a pandemic, because things aren't as rosy in Poland or in the rest of Europe as we think or want to show the rest of the world. We still have a lot of people living in really bad circumstances, and not even to speak about refugees fleeing other countries, seeking a place to stay in Europe. So there's a lot of work to be done. And I would argue that forcing female Polish citizens to seek help outside of their country of birth when they are in a situation when they have to make a decision is not the way that you run or create governance. I also want my taxpayer money to go towards making the lives of everybody easier. Please use my money to help those in need. Please use my money to look after infrastructure. Please use my money to make sure that everybody gets treated and vaccinated in this pandemic. Do not use my taxpayer money to manipulate and bring into law things that should have been an ethical conversation for the individual. And taking away my ability and Marta's ability and any other person in Poland's ability to have a conversation and to make decisions is not where government should be playing a role. Marta and I had a conversation this week again, and it's easy to get trapped in going down rabbit holes. When should you consider abortion? Maybe there's a middle route, maybe it's 4 weeks, 6 weeks. That is irrelevant. I said to Marta, imagine something went wrong with Francie. And it was during the early stages of her pregnancy, even later on. We can't really say what we would have done. We would have looked at our circumstance, our future planning, what our living conditions were like, what were we planning, what country would we have been in. We would have had very many conversations. We wouldn't have made an outright decision just to abort. There are beautiful kids out there in the world that might not be normal or might have something, I don't know, still human beings. And I believe that Martha and I would have had a conversation based on the family we have, our circumstances, but then also the values that our parents have instilled in us. And also our spiritual or religious beliefs would have guided us to make a decision. But within that is the secret. It was our decision. And I would also argue, more importantly, my role would have been to support Martha, because ultimately it's her body. It's her decision. What gives us the right to take that decision away from our partners? We also talk about how we want to empower people. Empowering people does not go along with taking away their ability to make a decision about their own bodies. And this is where the difficult part comes in, because I was thinking about innovation this week, and I was thinking about affirmative action in South Africa. I was thinking about my own career. And I remember that is, and I reflected, and I thought, I might have said this before, but the most beautiful part of my career, and I miss it so dearly, was when I worked at the advertising agency. And within that part of my career, it was a black manager and a female managing director who looked after me in that time. And bear with me, I have a point to make. And what they understood is that the only way they could make me or get me to succeed is by positioning me and looking after me and caring for me and giving me the opportunities. Since then, I've worked for other companies, and I still work for certain clients now where I'm just being pushed into things and it's sink or swim. And that's kind of also the way it works in management consulting. So I've gotten used to it. So they dump you in the deep end and you just have to survive. And I see that happening to people all around me. And the parallel I want to draw is that if we believe that females, people of color, are equal to everybody else in the world, as it should be, it's our duty to position people and look after them. And like one of my, as I mentioned, my boss said, setting people up for success. Now, we are not setting up anybody for success and for leadership and for equality by taking away rights. I don't know if I articulated myself well. I have these thoughts in my mind, and I'm also saying this because it was kind of also a statement that Martha said, that what made her angry is that we see a lot of females now in the streets, and arguably when I see and watch TV, it's a mixed crowd, not only females. So men are out there supporting as well. So it's not a generalization. But there's also a large contingent of men that says, yeah, we are supporting our women and we are crossing fingers for them, but yet they stand on the sidelines. We need to get involved. We need to make a change. It's scary. Police are getting more aggressive. That's a fact. And what scares me more is, or what concerns me, is that police, they are people. First of all, they should be serving, not enforcing. But they are also individuals making decisions to do certain things. Your mask or your badge or your uniform cannot take those decisions or the responsibility of those decisions away from you. It's also scary because as an expat, as someone who comes from another country living here, by the grace of the entity that allows me to be here, names are being taken, and some of my female expat friends here in Poland is also getting scared that they might be denied living here or staying here because of their point of view and their resistance against what is currently happening. So there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unhappiness. But what I would say, though, what is heartening, that even in this time of pandemic and the use of the pandemic as a reason for people not to speak out, the streets were filled. It reminds me of the times when Solidarity took to the streets to take on the communist government here in Poland. Poland was a shining beacon for democracy when I grew up in South Africa. It was an example. My dad always pointed out, look at what's happening in Poland. Are they standing up against tyranny? And I'm hoping that that's happening now again. And just we are stuck in this mess. I'm also concerned that this situation is being used to hide other things, because there is an uneasiness around what's happening around the pandemic here in Poland. There's a reason why people in my family are being very blasé about the pandemic. Some in our circles even believe that it's a hoax, and then we're going to get nanobots injected into our arms. So there's a lot of topics that takes off the attention from what is really important. And I wish we can get back to what is really important. First of all, empowering females, specifically here in Poland, and everybody, and embracing a global community and democracy for what it really is. And stop messing around with nonsense and start doing things that will really make Poland move forward. There's so much talent here. And that's why I love being here. I'm excited about being here. I just get angry with this darkness that sometimes comes over this country. And it's silly, because there's too many cool things here. Anyway, I'm rambling. I think I've said my mind, and there's still lots to happen. Next week, apparently, there's going to be more action. I don't know if it's too late. And my understanding is that it's now been passed. And the daughters of Poland will have to leave the country. And I don't want to see that talent and potential leaving this country. We need them to lead. So, nothing negative, just things to think about, things to consider, and the truth. Thanks for listening.